So the Academy Awards are this Sunday.
I know.
Over on 13 Wham, and leading up to them every day this week on this broadcast, we're going to have interviews connected to the Oscars, including with some of the nominees, which is pretty cool.
This morning it's with Allen Leech of Downton Abbey fame. He has a supporting role in The Imitation Game, which has nominations for Best Picture, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actress.
Leech plays a code breaker during World War II, working alongside a man who had a little-known role in winning the war. Here's our conversation. Imitation Game, I watched the trailer and read up on Alan Turing. What an incredible story. How have we not heard of him before?
That's a very good question. It's exactly what I asked myself when I closed the last page of the script. When I read Graham Moore's script, I felt embarrassed and angry that I didn't know more about this man. And that's why we all felt, being part of this movie, that we wanted to tell his story and tell it right and get his name out into the public consciousness much more.
As I learned, he developed a machine, which I suppose you could call a primitive computer, in order to crack German codes for the Allied forces. So you really look at it, he contributed hugely in two ways. He helped win the war, and then he was a godfather, a grandfather, I suppose, of computer science. It's just incredible.
That's absolutely true. I mean, Alan Turing, they believe his work at the time of the war, along with his colleagues at Bletchley Park, ended the war 2 years early with a saving of 14 million lives. And he also, in breaking the code, invented the first digital computer, the first artificial intelligence. And we owe him all of this, and why don't we know more about him? That comes down to the fact that Alan Turing his story has been kept quiet because of the atrocious way that he was treated by his own government. Alan Turing was gay at a time when it was illegal to be gay, and he was prosecuted because of his sexuality, put on a course of treatment that ultimately saw him take his own life. So it's tragic, and I think part of the reason we don't know more about him is I think the authorities in the British government feel embarrassed about how they treated one of the most important minds and one of the most important people of the last century.
How interesting. And here you are with the likes of Benedict Cumberbatch and Keira Knightley telling his story. How accurate do you think this story is? Obviously, when you create a movie, there has to be some creative license. So how closely do you think this goes along with the actual facts?
I think everything in the movie happened. And the fact is, okay, some of it had to be condensed. I mean, the man's life was so rich, you're always going to have to leave bits out. So there are so many moments in this movie where truth is stranger than fiction. I mean, in the movie, it's seen that he was about to get fired, and he asked who the Commander Denniston's, who his boss was, and he said Winston Churchill. So Alan Turing went and wrote a letter to Winston Churchill and dropped it off at 10 Downing Street. And he changed his own fate and the fate for all of us by doing that.
It appeared that the character Alan Turing had trouble getting close to others, but he needed the help of others, including, if I'm not mistaken, your character. How was that trying to work into Benedict Cumberbatch's portrayal of Alan Turing as cold and calculated, but it turns out he probably wasn't like that completely?
Yeah, I think that we were lucky enough that we had 2.5 weeks rehearsals, which made a huge difference for us as a cast. It meant that we really got a chance to gel and come together and become a very cohesive group moving forward to tell this story. And it was an absolute privilege to watch Benedict create this man and this role. And because we had so much time together, it was actually quite easy to get into that sense of him being alienated, but also requiring the help of all these people. And yeah, he was very isolated as a person, but he needed the warmth of other people, and he needed them around. And the movie really shows his journey to realize that, his realization of the importance of others as well.
Obviously, you know, a lot of accolades being tossed around, a lot of awards, things like that. This must be very nice for you. You have a long history with theater and movies and all that. At the same time, this seems to be going very well right now.
Yeah, I feel very lucky to be in the position I am, and to be here with a movie like The Imitation Game, something that we're all so proud of. And we're just so delighted that people are talking about Alan Turing. And that's what we've been afforded by all the chat about awards and everything else. It means that people are talking about this magnificent man and can properly celebrate his life and this tribute to being different, which Alan Turing was.
Well, great. Thank you so much for your time, Allen Leech. A pleasure.
Thank you very much.
I'll be watching him tonight in Downton Abbey. I recorded the show last night. I do it every Sunday night. Very different role, but he is an up-and-coming young actor.
And I am so impressed with the topic that they took on.
Right.
Alan Turing, I mean, what an amazing human being. We all know so little about.
Exactly. I think a lot of people are going to watch this and think, I want to learn more about him and see the movie.
And we are going to learn more about a local singer who is trying to make it big, Emma Lane. She's going to be with us in studio. We'll ask her where she performs around here.